Welcome back, everyone. For the past 35 minutes, thereabouts, we've been focusing on the federal government's student loan scheme, and I've been speaking with the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Dr. Tanko Sununu. Honorable Minister, thank you for staying with us. Now, let's move on with this conversation. The Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, that's IPS, has been scrapped. Is there a new payment system in place, and how will it work differently from the old one?
You see, here we must also be thankful to Mr. President for the political will to do what is right. IPPIS payment in terms of the tertiary institution has been of great concern. It has a lot of disadvantage when you look at the education structure. One, the IPPIS does not carry some peculiarities of tertiary institution. Two, it has negated the powers of the vice chancellors and tertiary institution managers to hire and fire because they cannot stop salaries. If I don't control your emolument in terms of the work you do for me, there is naturally little I can do in terms of controlling you. And also, not only that, there are a lot of irregularities. And this has been a source of concern and a source of major strike that has led to a strike for over 8 months, with academics calendar being totally distorted. And the disadvantage of distorted economic calendar is the fact that you cannot, it cannot allow you to have international collaborations. Because by the time you are collaborating with another university, their students are in school, yours are on strike. So it doesn't give room for collaborations, and it has a lot of consequences. It took the will of Mr. President to say, look, all the tertiary institutions should be out of IPPIS payment. And that has received a lot of support, commendation, and joyfulness to all Nigerians, irrespective of whether they are academicians or not, because everybody knows education is of major concern, and the hope of having a continuity in academic calendar is now being restored. So what we are now doing is that the ministry is working along with NUC and the other regulatory bodies of the tertiary institution so that we can come up with the modality of payment, so that every the university will have the powers, institution will have the powers to pay, and then a very strong supervisory role will also be done by the ministry to avoid what led to decision to migrate to IPPIS not to repeat itself. And that is where we are now working in collaboration. Just even about some days ago, I think yesterday, there was even a meeting at the NUC to look at the modalities with all the vice chancellors around. And other tertiary institutions too are doing their own to see how we can come up with this thing. And this, in doing that, we all agree that there are, even in the system, there are accusations between the unions and even the management of our system. It do happen like that. So everybody will be allowed to come forward with a suggestion so that we can have a document that will be owned by everybody, that is acceptable, and that will also protect and guide against what are not acceptable, that may also derail the system, so that we can have a nearly perfect system that will help in ensuring that every staff has his or her emolument, together with all the peculiarities that is ascribed to them by their circular on their salaries. This is where we are now.
All right. But broadly speaking, what is the vision of the Tinubu-led government for tertiary education? For tertiary education.
What is the reason of the Tinubu-led government on?
What is the vision of the Tinubu-led government for tertiary education? You see,
the vision of the government of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in tertiary education is to see that we are providing the highest level of ethical standard in education that will give an average graduate of Nigerian tertiary education the necessary skill, the character, the qualification that is attested to internationally and globally that will enhance the chances of average Nigerian student in a competitive environment, not only locally, but globally, that will partake in repositioning both economic, fiscal, and social development of the country. And in this regard, it's also part of the 8-point agenda. And what we did even in the ministry is to see how we are going to look at the tertiary level of education and to pay emphasis in some areas that we think that is what will provide the goal of average Nigerian. One of such measures is the issue of technology. Technology will be given emphasis. And as the year goes on, you see how this government will go into area of technology in education, especially at tertiary level, that will reinvigorate the academic excellence of Nigeria. We also look at skills, and right now, Tech Fund is moving towards erecting workshops and laboratories within the country's tertiary institutions, so as to improve our distance. And also, a major goal of this government's educational endeavor is on research and development. You see, where we have come forward, research has been neglected. And I assure you that therein, there are a lot of funds that can be tapped, which will make a lot of difference in Nigerians' education if we focus more on research. And that is where we are going and where we are headed. And not only research that we are going to do and keep them in our archives for the purpose of promoting our academic career or excellence. No, we are going to also focus more on research that can be marketed so that our institutional growth in terms of industry will be backed by research. And those research are also meant to address our local needs that will promote Nigerians in academic, in society of nations. So that is the goal as far as tertiary institutions. And the way we are going to achieve that are numerous, which I've mentioned, through infrastructural revamping, through teacher and lecturer training, and also through the provision of necessary equipment and instruments, and also through leveraging on technology and many other fields. If we do that, definitely we are sure that the story will really change. And this is a promise that has been delivered to Nigerians by Mr. President. And we are also given a mandate in terms of ministerial deliverable, which we have also signed. And we are being marched and look at forward timelinely. So we are not just allowed to just go like that. No, we are being marched. And we have also been given the mandate to always give Nigerian information on what we are doing, not only in Ministry of Education, in all the ministerial ministries under the federal government.
And still speaking of the President's education vision, I know the President some time ago begged ASUU not to always resort to strike at any slight opportunity. Is there any form of agreement between ASUU and the federal government to make strike a forgotten issue?
This is what I told you. What we have agreed with ASUU is that we are going to continue to be consulting. And we are not going to be in a situation we will also differ from the situation whereby once we reach a term with the academic staff of any tertiary institution, we will not do anything until when they give us a notice that we are coming for you with an ultimatum in the next 3 years. No. Our focus for us in ending that strike, which is also the focus of the Mr. President, is to be proactive in doing the needful to prevent what needs to be done under duress. And that is what we are working. And it is part in terms of our proactiveness that we have designed to attend and also listen and then discuss openly with all the unions under the Ministry of Education so as to put the strike to an end. You understand? You see, for us to say that we are reaching that, we must create a trust. And trust can never be achieved when you are not open, when you are not discussing, when you are not empathic in what you are doing. So we are going to go to show empathy, and we are going to be listening, and we are listening. Most officially, my minister is also a senior advocate of Nigeria, so rule of law is not something new to him. And for me, I've grown up as a unionist, and I still engage in unionists. So for me, with them, we are friends, and we know each other even before I became a minister. So we continue to respect the wishes of the unions, and also to tell the unions where we think such cannot be achieved and the reason that it will not be achieved, and then request and solicit for their understanding so as to move forward.
All right. So as someone who transitioned from the legislative arm of government to the executive arm of government, what is your personal goal as the Minister of State for Education?
Well, my personal goal is just what we are given with Mr. President. First of all, is respect of rule of law. As a former legislator, I know what it means by lawmaking, and I know the implication of law, and I know the implication of going against the law. So we must, in this charge of our duties as responsible ministry, we must respect the law. Those laws include those law of appropriation, the law of establishment of act, and many other laws that are within the ministry. And once we work within the ambit of the law and carry everybody along, the result is going to be a very effective governance that will produce the better education system that we have for this country. And that is what we are doing, and that's what we will continue to do.
All right, a few minutes to wrap up, but before then, let me take you up on this. Over 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. But in the last few months of your appointment as the Honorable Minister of State for Education, what have you identified as the issues, the challenges, and how do we check this as a nation?
Well, you see, if you look at even still the 8-point agenda of Mr. President on focus on education, you find that out-of-school children is a major issue that featured prominently. And there are a lot of reasons why it should be worrisome. Once they can serve as a pool to miscreant the bandits and any other because they cannot go to school. 2, they are also source of low GDP because you have a pool of young people that cannot add value to the society. And 3, they are also a situation whereby it's just like a time bomb. So that has focused prominently and is the major issue that we are looking as a major thematic area that we are going through. And in fact, we have come up with annual plan that we are going to execute over 4 years. And our goal is to see that in every 1 year, that let's say in 2014, at least 25% of out-of-school children will be returned back to school. How are we going to do that? We are also going to, there are many ways. One of it is to increase in teacher enrollment. And very soon we are processing a waiver that we are going to take at least over 3,500 teachers in our federal institution. We are also going to look at the number of classes we have. Right now, we need over 200,000 classes. And I want to tell you that even as of today, at the federal level and in most states, you go around, you bear, our smart schools is adding a lot of number into classes we are going to have in the country. And of recent also, we also have federal colleges of technical colleges that we have been for basic. And I think right now we have over 21 schools in a distinct state of the state government that is also going to be added. So also to improve our classes, we also, even in the budget, we have the secondary school, National Secondary School Education Commission is going to do a lot in adding value to the number of school and classes we are going to have. We also have mentioned the issue of teacher recruitment. You must also agree with me that even in terms of sustainability of funding, the funding has also been increased. The federal government education is second to defense in terms of the capital project that it's going to have. So funding is also an issue that is, has improved significantly. And if you look at even the Universal Basic Education Commission is receiving over 250 billion, which is hitherto less than that. We also have other interventions. Just in the next, on Monday, we are going to start to commission the GPE program that is adding almost 107.59 million US dollars to resuscitate education in terms of infrastructural development within the country that is going to be benefiting state in the country. And then not only in terms we have looked at issues of the system, we must also look at the issue of why students are taking, if we return them, how are we going to return them back, to return them in school, rather than returning them and allowing them to go back. We are going to incentivize education for the out of school. We have already, Agile has started doing that for a girl child with incentive of giving them certain scholarship that they enjoy from time to time, which will allow them to be retained, and also arm them with skill. And also, at our basic level of education, we have come up with a different approach in such a way that not only the ones that are returned in school, even those that are going to be in basic school, we are going to arm them with skill. And this is why that anywhere you go, you find that we are constructing a school. 3 things are mandatory in that school. 1, a workshop, especially at the basic level. 2, a science laboratory. And 3, computer laboratory. And also under the IDEAS project, we are also looking on the way we are going to use contractors. What I mean by contractors here, if you are in a skill-related courses, how can we engage relevant local experienced engineers to train those students in skill? For example, if you are learning the art of tailoring, there are experienced tailors that can come and give you practical aspect of tailoring. So also electrical and electronics. These are all areas that we're doing. So we can now use those field activities to retain students in school. And major component of it also is the issue about Almajiri schools, which are also planning to integrate their basic education into Sangaya school so that they can also benefit in getting them the basic education. Because as it is now, the kind of literacy level we have is really unacceptable. While globally some countries are reaching almost 98–95% in terms of their literacy rate, right now in Nigeria it's about 63%. And then that 63% is not uniform. It varies from one region to another. For example, if you go to some states have gone far, states like Imo that have 96%, Lagos about 95%, and many other states. But if you come down, you go to issue in the northern part of the country, like Yobe State, it's so distant. In the north, it's still less than 30%. So this is not acceptable. And the only way we can do is to have a strong program that can be able to mobilize, retain, and also train, and then give them out to either proceed for their secondary level of education or arm them with a school with skill that they can learn. They have the background knowledge of reading and writing.
Right,
and most also, yeah.
Sadly, we're out of time. Dr. Tanko Sununu, Minister of State for Education, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great conversation, and I sincerely appreciate you for joining us on the program tonight. Thank you so much.